The history of leaders promising to make the world a better place reverberates, a haunting reminder of the human condition. Yet behind the curtain of this rhetoric lies the truth. Millions have perished, their voices silenced by the very promises they once believed. As the masses clamour for change, they unwittingly surrender their freedoms to new masters, perpetuating the cycle of power and deception. While distractions abound, a select few, shrouded in wealth and influence, quietly orchestrate the fate of nations. As dusk fell upon the snowy mountains, Eris's icy-gloved hand emerged from the layers of snow. He managed to create a small hollow in the snow between the jagged rocks of the ridge. Using the warmth of V109's energy cells, Eris had surprisingly achieved a few hours of sleep. Eris carefully enlarged the hole just enough to peer out, scanning for any activity that may have occurred while he was sleeping. The mountainside was clear. He cautiously crawled up against the jagged rocks he had used for shelter to check for any movement down at the cargo cruiser. The once smouldering wreckage was now just a lonely dark shadow on the wind-swept snow. Eris slid back down into the small crater and looked up toward the distant exfil location as the snow peppered his face. After assessing the steep rocky terrain and narrow passes, he turned to V109. "Sorry, old mate, you're gonna have to wait here. You're just not made for climbing mountains." V109 turned his head slightly as his essence line shifted from red to blue. Eris placed his hand on V109's metal arm. "We've done this before. I always come back for you." Eris gathered the remaining supplies in his pack and ate to keep his energy levels up for the long trek. He then turned to V109 before leaving. "Now keep your head down and stay out of trouble. I'll be back as soon as I can." The wind howled through the mountains as Eris began his grueling ascent, each step sinking thigh deep into the thick, unyielding snow, while the wind pushed hard against him. Darkness had fallen, and he relied solely on his arm tech for navigation, the device's soft glow casting eerie shadows on the surrounding landscape. Eris glanced back toward V109, now just a barely discernible shape in the inky blanket of night. This life. The rallying point was a distant goal. The path would test both his physical endurance and mental fortitude. His strategy was simple, slow and steady. Each step felt like trudging through wet concrete, his legs heavy and his energy dwindling. Occasionally, he lost his footing, sliding back several meters and cursing under his breath. He engaged in constant self-talk, battling the creeping thoughts of surrender. His survival skills and mental toughness, developed by the very organization he was now desperate to escape. Eris had slung his rifle around his back, needing both hands free to crawl up the narrow, steep paths. One mistake, one slip, would send him plummeting into the darkness below, never to be seen again. As Eris's hands sank into the snow and he rested on his elbows, he slowly raised his head. Out of nowhere, a large rock began tumbling down the narrow embankment. Eris rolled to his right as it brushed past. Looking up, he saw what he thought was a human-like figure hurling another large boulder toward him. "Boy, what the hell are you doing?"
"What are you doing? Trying to sneak up on me?"
"I'm not trying to sneak up on you. I've got my own problems."
"You bastards will do anything for a bounty."
"Listen, I don't know or care who you are. I just need you to stop throwing rocks at me, and I'll be on my way."
"Well, leave your weapon behind and you can pass."
"Right. So you can shoot me on the way up."
"I already had the jump on you and you're still breathing, right? So what are you doing out here?"
"How about it's none of your business?"
"You're running out of options. Try again."
I was junking a hauler down in the valley. Things went a little pear-shaped.
"So you're the crazy who jumped out with the mech and saved your crew?"
Yeah, and look where that got me.
"Well, you're loyal, I'll give you that."
"Can I come up now?"
"Sure."
Eris slowly crawled toward the figure, who extended his hand and helped Eris to his feet. "Thank you. The name's Eris," he introduced himself.
Reiko.
"So what are you doing out here?"
You think you're the only one that pays for tip-offs?
"Well, where's the rest of your crew?"
I'm a one-man operation. It's hard to find loyal help these days.
Eris noticed the large metal shell around Reiko's head. "So, what are you, Automaton or CAO? I can't tell." Reiko ignored Eris's question.
If you want a lift, the ship's this way. But I want to check out that hauler before we leave.
"The one in the valley? There's nothing worth taking."
Well, we'll see. I didn't come all this way for nothing.
As the two made their way to the cave opening, Eris saw Reiko's ship hidden inside. It was small and beat up, sporting a rusted patina that suggested years of hard use. The ship was so heavily customized that Eris couldn't discern its original model. He noticed a well-worn name on the side and squinted, attempting to make it out.
The name's Thunderbox.
"That's an interesting name. I like your handiwork."
Yeah, she's got me out of trouble a few times. A real workhorse. Now hold up here till I get back.
Eris settled near the entrance of the cave, keeping watch as Reiko disappeared back into the darkness. The toll of the arduous journey began to seep into his bones, his muscles stiffening with exhaustion. As time passed, Eris's eyes grew heavy. He tried everything to stay awake, alternating between resting one eye and then the other, but soon drifted off to sleep. What felt like mere minutes later, Eris was jolted awake. It was early morning with the sound of approaching voices.
"Gotta be around here somewhere."
Before he could fully orientate himself, two men and an automaton walked around the corner, startled to see Eris sitting at the entrance of the cave. They quickly raised their weapons and pointed them at him.
"Well, what we have here? I bet you're one of those junkers that stole our loot."
The man peered into the cave, spotting the ship nestled inside.
"If that's not a junker's ship, I don't know what is. And where's the rest of your crew? And where's our loot?"
"Great. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been sitting out last night's blizzard," Eris said, his finger inching toward the rifle trigger, hidden under his survival blanket.
"Really? How about we take your ship and call it square?"
"I can't let you do that."
"You look pretty busted up. Blood on your chest. There's only one of you. Who's gonna stop us? Don't waste your ammo on this one. Finish him off old style."
The automaton pulled a large bowie knife from its back sheath and approached Eris while the other men headed toward Reiko's ship. Eris fired his weapon from under his blanket, hitting the automaton square in the neck. The impact caused it to stumble forward and collapse on top of him, destroying its CPU. The weight compressed Eris's body, pinning his weapon between his legs and the lifeless metal. The other two junkers, caught by surprise, began firing wildly toward Eris. Bullets ricocheting off the automaton's body, hitting one of the junkers in the leg. Eris reached for his sidearm and shot the other junker dead. The injured junker fled in agony. Eris lay trapped beneath the weight of the automaton's body as his consciousness began to fade. As Eris gradually came to, he found himself slumped up against the interior wall of Reiko's ship, enveloped in its warm confines, with Reiko at the controls, piloting his Thunderbox.
I'll leave you alone for a few hours and I come back to find two dead junkers and you sleeping with an automaton.
2 dead junkers? I thought I only hit one of them.
Sounds like a weird dream to me.
What did you find down at the hauler?
Let's just say the trip was worth it.
Eris glanced around the ship and noticed a junker's sack in the cargo hold. After several minutes of silence, Eris broke the quietude. "So, where are you from, Reiko? Do you have family?"
Do I look like I have family?
Well, I don't really know what you look like with that giant box around your head.
Let's just say family is my least favorite topic.
Okay. So you're a CAO then, Eris guessed. Reiko changed the subject.
You know, after seeing you in action, I've been thinking. I'm looking for some trustworthy help to run security for me while I junk. Imagine what you and me can do together. We can live cheap out of the ship, move from job to job. What do you think?
Well, that's an interesting offer. I'm already committed to a crew, and I have a family.
I see. Well, if things change, ask for me at Eda's Inn, Morricore.
I will, Eris said genuinely. Reiko locked Eris's coordinates, and after several hours, the shanty trade town of Salakor came into view.
Is this your stop?
Reiko asked, as Eris struggled to his feet. Yeah, this is it. Put me anywhere down there. Reiko's thunderbox landed just outside the perimeter fence of the city, kicking up a cloud of dust. With his polar gear stored in his pack, Eris set off down the ramp as the dry heat and hot wind whirled around his body.
Keep me in mind, Eris. We can do and dare great things together.
Eris smiled with gratitude and watched as Reiko's ship ascended into the vast blue horizon. Left standing amidst the dust, Eris made his way through the corrugated gates and into the sprawling shanties of Salakor, a bustling town teeming with trade and opportunity. The narrow alleyways were a labyrinth of market sounds, vibrant smells and vendors shouting their wares, filling the air with chaotic energy. Eris paused for a moment to enjoy 2 mushroom and potato pies, all the while noting several suspicious characters loitering around the market stalls for a little too long. Pulling his hood over his head, he then made his way toward the Ironwood's makeshift pay drop. Arriving in a small, unassuming building on the outskirts of the market, Eris knocked on the reinforced metal door. A slot opened, revealing a pair of scrutinizing eyes.
Job password.
Worst job ever?
You've got one more chance, mister.
The humorless doorman replied. Phoenix. A small opening in the door leveraged out with a package. Eris cautiously looked around before placing it inside his pack. He knocked on the door again, and the slot reopened.
Hey, look. I just pay out what I'm told. If you're not happy, tough luck.
It's not about the pay. I need to talk to the pilot about the previous job.
I'm just a pay drop. Now get out of here before you draw too much attention.
And the slot closed abruptly. Listen to me. The crew is in danger. The door slot remained closed. Eris shook his head and walked a few streets down to a secluded old shed. Opening the stiff door to a small, dust-covered 3-wheeled vehicle, he climbed in and drove through the open perimeter gate. With a momentary sense of freedom, he set off over the dunes at full speed, beyond Salakor, toward his family compound, hidden deep in the desert.